We're live.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
We are the Antler Queens. I am Melanie, and we also have
I'm Kelly.
and
I'm Emily.
And today is going to be one of our mini episodes. We are covering one of the most asked questions in Yellowjackets. One of them. There are many, of course. But who's Pit Girl?
Yeah.
Who
Good
is Pit Girl?
question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good question. We're all wondering that.
But before we dive into Pit Girl, we just want to touch on some relevant and very current / exciting Yellowjackets casting news. We have our adult van and our adult Lottie now.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Let me, you want me to bring this?
Yeah, let's show them. Yes.
All right. This one, Melanie and I in particular are really super excited about. We're big 6 Feet Under fans. That was like my favorite show ever. So Lauren Ambrose as Van. We were convinced it was going to be Julia Stiles, but
yeah,
Lauren Ambrose is freaking awesome. So I'm super excited.
Same. I mean, you could not find a better fit, in terms of looks, but also she's coming out of Severance, which is, kind of like one of these creepy horror thriller shows. So it's right up her alley. And, same with 6 Feet Under. Like that's another show that's, dark. So this dark universe is just right on point for her. She's, well known from the 90s. We all, Can't Hardly Wait was one of her quintessential 90s movies. So that was some very pardon me, exciting casting news. And I think a lot of people were not surprised by this one.
Right. I don't think anyone was surprised.
Yeah, she was so heavily talked about in the fandom, like all over like every social media outlet, Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, like everybody was rooting for Lauren Ambrose.
Yeah, definitely. And what I love is, I swear to God, Claire Fisher and Van Palmer would have been total besties back in the day. I'm convinced.
Oh, absolutely. 6 Feet Under is going to get such a big uptick in streaming right now, I would imagine, for those who've never watched it.
I've never watched, so that's next on my list.
You've got to watch it. And the ending of 6 Feet Under is one thing I loved. They kind of tie it all up nicely in a bow. You know exactly what happens and where everybody ends up. And I always appreciate that versus, the speculation of like what actually happened. So for me, it's like one of the best endings of TV ever.
I've heard that.
An absolute masterpiece, the finale episode, like that ending montage. It was just, I've never seen anything like it. It was so amazing.
Yeah,
usually series finales are more likely to just kind of be disappointing.
Right, like many people were with Dexter, like the original Dexter. A lot of people, that was a very polarizing ending, and which is ironic because Michael C. Hall was also in 6 Feet Under.
Right.
So to have that complete opposite type of finale is interesting. But so welcome to the Hive, Lauren Ambrose. We are all very excited to have you here. Buzz, buzz, buzz.
Yes. And now the second casting announcement, which came out yesterday, which is, I think people were taught, we didn't know that Van was going to survive. We knew that Lottie was going to survive. So we knew this was, everyone was talking about this one a little bit more, but it's a little more surprising because she's a little more unknown. But Simone Kessel will be starring as adult Lottie. She's in Obi-Wan Kenobi. I have not seen her in anything, so I definitely plan to check her out.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going through her past, and she was also in a show called Terra Nova, which was years and years ago. And I did watch that show, and I saw a picture of her in it, and I was like, oh, she looks familiar. I don't remember, a lot about her, but I think we're all going to be diving into her body of work so we can familiarize ourselves. And, she's got the Maori ancestry, which was something important, and it's interesting because a lot of people were thinking it was going to be Shannon Sossamon. So this did, come as quite a surprise. But, looks wise, I mean, it's an absolute, very strong resemblance.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
And, it'll be interesting to see everybody at work. And it's funny because, people seemed kind of like upset about the van thing, the announcement, thinking it's a big spoiler, like the show's spoiling it for everybody. But for me, I'm thinking, we're not getting season 2 until probably like early March or something. So I'll take any type of announcement I can get. I don't think it's like a very, too crazy of a spoiler. Like we could have all figured out that Van lives because she has 9 lives, as we've talked about before. So it's not, out of the realm, but
I don't think anybody's surprised that Van's gonna survive. I don't think she's killable.
Yes. No, absolutely. She's like the Energizer Bunny times 10.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes. Okay, so casting news is covered, and now we are going to dive into all things Pit Girl, and we're going to start with a breakdown of the scene. Now, note, gosh, pardon me, I have...
right there?
This only seems to happen when I'm on a podcast. Like literally no idea what is going on with my voice right now. But we're going to dive into the scene by scene of Pit Girl. We would love to show the clip, but we're afraid we're going to get flagged on YouTube and we don't want any copyright issues. So for that reason, we'll show some pictures and just kind of go through the details along with how it was written in the pilot, because there are actually some differences between the pilot and the execution of that scene. So yes, so let's go, girls. Pit Girl.
All right. So Emily, do you want to take us through the scene?
Sure. Okay. So the pilot begins with Pit Girl running through the snowy woods barefoot. You can see her footprints in the snow, that one of her feet is already bleeding. Could she have been snagged in some type of trap that she escaped from? She's very clearly running from someone or something. She runs in between a tree line, and it looks almost as if there's like decorative, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Like talismans.
Yeah, like adorning the pathway that she's running down. You can also hear animal noises being made, but they're not coming from animals, they're coming from people, which is very interesting. These noises seem to put her into a panic, and she hunches over, screams, covers her ears. She takes off running again. She doesn't get very far because she falls into a pit full of wooden spikes, impaling herself. Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Nice behind the scenes photo there.
Yeah. Immediately there's no way she survived. Her fingers actually continue to twitch. There's a close-up of a heart necklace around her neck. The camera pans up to the top of the pit, focusing on a pair of hot pink Converse sneakers. We then see a full view of the person covered almost head to toe in animal furs. Underneath the furs is a co-ed naked soccer t-shirt. Later on in the pilot, you then see Pit Girl has been tied to a rope by her feet, and she's being dragged through the snow towards a tree, where a second figure we see pulls her up by the rope, hanging her by her feet from the tree. There's a third person that approaches them with a knife, who's given a nod by one of the others and proceeds to walk forward and slits Pit Girl's neck, effectively draining the blood from her body. And this is the last that we see of Pit Girl all in one piece, I guess you should say. But later on in the episode, we see a group of 8 people adorned in animal furs gathering for what seems to be some type of feast. There's meat of some kind roasting on an open fire, and it's heavily implied that the group is eating the girl that we see fall into the pit in the beginning of the pilot. But is it truly her they are eating? Or was she purely killed as some type of sacrifice to the forest? Is it possible the girls developed some type of ritual sacrifice to appease the forest god's apparent need for blood to be spilled? Once the blood is spilled, they're rewarded with a fresh animal kill. That's the route that I'm going down, at least what I suspect so far anyways.
That's what I'm thinking too.
It makes sense.
Yeah. It's also entirely possible that we could be seeing 2 separate events like we discussed a little while ago. The Pit Girl scenes might not be chronological. There's a lot of speculation on Reddit in particular that what we're seeing is not all in order, or we could be seeing 2 separate events taking place, because it's also interesting when you see her running through the woods, it almost looks like it's like daybreak, like the sun is just about to come up. Then when you see her being hung up by the tree, it's sunny out, like you can tell it's daytime. But when they eat, it's completely dark. It's pitch black, And when you see them leaving that little circle at the very end of the episode, when Misty like reveals her face, it looks like it's about to be daytime again. Like it seems like that event took the entire day to go through. Like it's an entire day long process or something.
Yeah, it kind of looks like daylight right there.
Yeah.
It sure
I think
does.
that's when I think that's when they're hanging her, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and here's another one that
Oh yeah.
yeah,
That's a good one.
Definitely daylight.
Let's see.
Yeah, so it definitely it's either taking place all day into the night.
Another thing,
two separate events. I mean,
Yeah.
it could really go either way.
Yeah.
Because when you look at her when she's hanging from the tree, some people think that it's not the same girl that actually fell into the pit, because it doesn't look like there's any like marks on her body where the spikes would have impaled her. If that makes sense.
Good question. Let me hang on. I just brought that photo up and I lost it. Oh, here we go. It's a really like
super blurry photo.
Super blurry,
It's
but
blurry.
But
it's
you don't
blurry in the
see
show,
any like
too.
yeah, maybe intentionally, because
Yeah.
maybe there are marks on her that we're not
Yeah.
seeing. But from this angle, you don't see any visible like blood. Maybe they clean her body, but there would still
That's
be
possible
like
too. Yeah.
like wounds. I mean, right?
Yeah. I always thought that was super interesting, because
Yeah.
that would support the theory that like it is two separate events taking place.
That's
Right.
really interesting. I had never paid attention to that.
The hair looks a lot shorter too in that picture. Like we very
Yeah.
clearly have a very long-haired girl running, and maybe they chop it off, or I doubt they're gonna like put it in a ponytail or something, or bun.
Yeah.
But doesn't it look shorter? I mean, the running pit girl is some very long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It does. It does
agree.
look a lot shorter. God, wow. I'm totally.
Well, I mean, right there it looks kind of just like a ball of hair too. But when she's running, and like we'll cover in a little bit with the length of the wig that the person, who is the extra used, it's long hair
Yeah.
Mhm.
with
But
bangs.
yeah, look at all the spikes going through her. I mean,
Yep.
she should have a bunch of visible wounds.
Unless, like you said, Melanie, maybe they clean her off and you just can't see the actual like holes.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
maybe
it
they
is
wipe the blood off
blurry.
of her. Yeah.
Right. I mean, if they were doing like a ritualistic sacrifice, I mean, you see all these like shows with killers who clean the body and have this whole
Yep.
ritual. So maybe it's part of the sacrifice. I don't know.
It could
Definitely.
be, but I mean, you would think like as mangled as she was, you would think you would see something,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, because like you figure when they're taking the sticks out of her, whatever. I mean, that's got to do some damage to the skin, and
Yeah.
That
For
extraction process is probably substantial. I mean, it probably takes at least 2 or 3 of them to like lift it, and like while removing the sticks. I mean, that's like a
It shoulda
whole
shredded her.
process.
Yeah.
yeah,
for
it should
sure.
have shredded her. It's so that God, that's really interesting. I haven't seen. I'm not on Reddit as often as you are, Emily. So I haven't really seen that being talked about, but that's fascinating. I'm really digging that theory.
Yeah.
I like that too. And just really quick, there are some other theories floating around out there that are a little absurd. One theory like that I found on Reddit is, this person said, me at 3 a.m. unhinged, anxiously rewatching the scene where Pit Girl's hanging from the tree to quell a horrible late night suspicion that maybe it's Javi with longer hair and a girlish butt. Just gonna say, we do not believe that Pit Girl is Javi. That's not
No.
like a thing we believe. But it just goes to show some of these like absurd theories out there. Callie is another theory.
Oh my gosh.
That they believe that who's to say this was back in the 90s? Maybe it's the current day, and Callie has somehow ended up in the woods. No, I'm sorry, I'm shutting that down. It's not a thing.
I don't know how people believe that anyways. Like when you see teenage Misty in that scene, like how could that logically make any sense for it to be Callie when you know that teenage Misty was there?
Right.
I mean, it's not even a thing. It's not a possibility. But but it's funny that people are considering all of these different theories.
Yeah, there's so many.
you know, the two I think that are getting the most traction are, you know, either one of the Yellowjacket red shirts, unnamed, who we haven't seen, or Mari.
Yes.
Oh, Lottie as well. Lottie, you know,
And
has been
Lottie.
talked about, but now that we have 100% confirmed she's alive in the current day, probably not her, unless it's a vision, which is another theory that we've seen floating out there. Like, you know, Lottie had the vision in the underground bunker. Is this a vision of Lottie, you know, maybe predicting something, or is it a dream? Or, I mean, I don't know. That's just another thing that's kind of floating out there.
Yeah.
Let me just bring up this photo here. Now, these are two of the unnamed Yellowjackets. That there's one other unnamed Yellowjacket with dark hair, but she's black, so she has very dark skin. So there's no way it could be her. And there's another one that's blonde, so we know it's not her.
Yeah.
The girl on the left has really dark hair.
She does, and it's very long, and there's no bangs, because we do know that the extra had bangs, to your point that you had mentioned, Kelly.
Yes, let me bring that up. So a Reddit user by the name of Scuba Steve Fool shared some fantastic photos on Reddit. A friend of his was the stunt double for Pit Girl and Skunkhead, who the pilot describes as the hunter. And these are some of the photos. So Pit Girl's stunt double is here in the middle. So that's what her hair looks like. But let's go. So you can see she doesn't have bangs there.
No bangs in that picture. Yep.
But this is another photo from the show, and they've got a wig on her with bangs, which is really interesting. So not sure why they did that. It could be to confuse people, but that doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. So,
like, did they give
so
each other
weird.
haircuts and give
I
each
was
other
just thinking
bangs?
that.
Like, you know, they're bored. They're like, oh, hey, like, let's try out some bangs. I don't know.
Right?
Like, where did the bangs come from? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, I'm really stumped about that.
Because to put a wig on, right? Like, when she already has long dark hair, I mean,
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's got to be a reason. Like, it's not like she's got blonde hair and they're you know, putting on a dark wig. Like, she already has that type of hair. They're just adding the bangs.
Yeah.
The secret is in the bangs, I think.
That would support the idea that it could be Lottie's vision and she's the one running.
Yep.
But it's somebody else getting eaten at the end, or at least, you know, slaughtered at the end or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that definitely happened. That part happened. We know that because of, you know, Natalie was remembering all that while she was meditating. And while she was like hunting down Misty, you know, these were all kind of thoughts that were going through Natalie's head at the time.
It seems like those are reliable flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
I agree.
But we did not now but the running thing, that was not part, the runner was not part of Natalie's memories.
No, that was something separate. That was
the first scene in the pilot.
Yeah.
So it very well could be that could be Lottie's vision. And I think it's a good theory.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be. There's been people talking about, you know, maybe this has something to do with like the dethroning of the Antler Queen, you know. And yeah, we know Lottie makes it out, but we don't know what happens. We don't know, you know, some people have said, you know, maybe Nat burns the cabin down with Lottie inside. You know, she thinks she's dead, but she's not. You know, maybe leading up to that, there was some kind of incident and she somehow ended up getting chased. I don't know, but Lottie has bangs, and so doesn't Pit Girl. So
yeah, you know, let me show. I took some screenshots of the pilot script. So we have a little more insight on this. A mysterious figure in animal pelts, the hunter, emerges from the tree line, her face shrouded by the hood of her rough coat. She approaches the edge of a deep hole previously concealed by cover of snow, a tiger trap.
tiger trap.
Yes.
Mm.
We know that Natalie's kind of the hunter of the group. So I'm thinking that's a good possibility that that's her standing at the edge of the pit. But also, it mentions the tiger trap, and Natalie has that line in the rehab facility about keeping the tiger in the cage.
Yes.
She also has this line, which is also from the rehab facility scene in the pilot, but it was taken out of the show. It was in the pilot script, but they removed it, and I don't know why, because I absolutely love this quote. Only Wendy's right. I mean, Wendy is Jamba Juice lady, by the way. Only Wendy's right. I mean, when you really get down to it, there are three kinds of people in the world: people who cut in line, the people who let them, and the people who do something about it. So that says a lot about Natalie's character, because she's definitely the one who does something about it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
She and she has that line about keeping the tiger in the cage very shortly after that. And so I think in my mind it's safe to say that she's the hunter, or that she's the one at the edge of the pit here. Here's a better picture of that person, of that same person, but you can't see their face, obviously. Now, they did say that there were a lot of Easter eggs in their costumes, but I don't necessarily know that it's anything that we could understand. I mean, Natalie, I don't know. The only thing that I can think of is that Natalie probably smokes a lot of pot.
The skunk weed. The skunk weed. Yeah.
So that's why she's skunk head.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Interesting. Or, if we look at it like her light and dark hair, maybe it's some kind of a metaphor. She had dark hair when we see her, flashback scenes with her dad, and then, has light hair. So maybe it's a play of like that juxtaposition of her light and dark hair in terms of like the light and dark inside of her, if we're getting like really deep. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. I don't know.
If that is Natalie, I'm really curious to see how she goes to like where we see her now in the plot to standing at the edge of the pit, because as she stands now, I can't see her siding with Lottie and agreeing to hunt her fellow teammates. Like, I just can't see it yet. So something has to happen that changes that and changes her mindset, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's part of Lottie's vision.
Yeah, that's true.
That's part of it too. Now she is wearing the co-ed naked shirt, which we all saw Van wearing, but they explained that they all kind of share clothing. She's also wearing the pink Chuck Taylors, which is again, like, I think a few of them had Chuck Taylors, but they're all kind of sharing stuff at this point.
I have not seen those pink shoes on any of the girls thus far in the show, though. Like, I've paid close attention to their shoes on purpose, and one of them has a pair of Converse that's like a maroon color. Gotcha. But I haven't seen anybody wearing hot pink Converse, unless one of the pairs that they have, like, the color fades while they're out there or something like that. But I haven't seen any actual hot pink shoes.
Right. And, speaking of like wardrobe-y type things, we should touch upon also the nightgown and the necklace, right?
Yes.
Because it's clear that Pit Girl is wearing Laura Lee's nightgown, right? And, Laura Lee's gone. So that's something interesting. And the heart necklace, something we've talked about before as well, as a marker of the next person to go, and that sort of thing. So, the nightgown and the necklace, what do those reveal for us? I don't know.
I kind of feel like it makes sense. Like, if this is all like they're sacrificing each other, like they're wearing things of girls who died before them as part of their like ritual, if that makes sense. And I don't know if it's like to highlight maybe weakness, like they weren't strong enough to survive, and this is a symbol like you're weak too, you're next. But I feel like it makes the most sense for it to fit in with that like ritual aspect of where we see this heading, because it's very clear that they develop some kind of ritual while they're out there.
How do they like get the nightgown on her though? Like once you know you're next, I mean, oh sure, okay, girls, here, let me just like slide the nightgown on, you know, like I mean, how does that all go down? You know, are they like holding her down and like forcing her into the nightgown? I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
they
accept
clearly,
your fate at that point. I don't know.
If this really, if the running scene actually did happen, well, I shouldn't say that. So the girl running and Pit Girl are the same person. I mean, we see her fall into the trap. That's obvious. But she was clearly surprised.
Yeah.
Because there's snow outside and yeah, she's barefoot and wearing this nightgown. So she was like, taken out of bed or something.
Yeah.
So maybe she was just in the nightgown naturally and that's what she was wearing at the time. Maybe it wasn't like, okay, put the nightgown on, you're next.
Yeah, I think that's a good possibility. Yeah, God, there's so many.
When we did our fan panel, one of the girls on the fan panel said she thought that it was possible that they do something like they place the necklace on somebody while they're asleep. And when they wake up, that's when they realize like, oh shit, like I'm next. So now I better start running, which is absolutely terrifying to think about.
Oh,
yeah.
But that would be really interesting if that's how it actually worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we've got, what do you guys think about Mari surviving? I mean, do you think, I don't really think she's
I go
necessary.
back and forth.
Oops.
I go back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think she's all that necessary. And I mean, she pissed Misty off.
Yeah. She's so mean to her.
Yeah.
And we see Misty wearing Mari's windbreaker, to your point in Reddit, Emily. You know, you pointed out, does anyone else think Misty's smirk is
get there.
Oops.
Trying to find a better photo.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay. No, it's fine. So we basically just want to, look into Misty wouldn't have let Mari wear her windbreaker because they didn't get along. I mean, they definitely did not get along, right? So what is that smirk that, Misty's kind of giving when she reveals herself? Is it because she's like super happy that Mari's dead, and I mean, I don't know. Mari is a good contender to be Pit Girl also. She's not one of the main characters. She has the dark hair. She doesn't get along with Misty, and we know that can probably cause some trouble. So maybe it's Mari. That's another strong theory, with her windbreaker being there on Misty, which is an unlikely person to be sharing clothes.
No,
if
no
you
way.
think about Misty's character, though, she seems primarily driven by wanting to feel needed, and that's why she went into the career she's in. She likes having power over people. She was withholding meds from the one woman. She was clearly super excited when Natalie came to her to ask her to help them get rid of Adam's body. So when she smiles in that scene, in that past timeline, I think she's smiling because she did something that made her useful to the group.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's possible that whoever Pit Girl was causing problems for them.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, it's God, there's so much to unpack. It's crazy. Let's just take another quick look here at some of the costumes. So we have no idea who anybody is, but so these are who are being referred to as acolytes. Obviously there's Misty on the end there. And we see the rabbit here.
Yep, we've got the rabbit, the skunk.
There's
rabbit,
a poster.
which we can assume is Shauna, but
Yes.
we're not positive.
See,
but safe assumption.
I thought Shauna was the one with the little mask on her face. It almost looks like a face mask that like we've been wearing for COVID.
Oh, the green scarf. Yeah. Interesting. See, I see her as the rabbit just because of all the rabbit imagery in her house in the present
that
day.
makes sense, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know who the raccoon, that middle raccoon person is. I think they got the raccoon tails and the face thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, one thing that's interesting, if you look at this, that's Laura Lee's dress. And I pulled up a photo. It looks like Laura Lee's dress, at least.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I think
floral dress.
Yeah, that looks the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but we know Laura Lee's dead already, so that doesn't really mean a whole lot.
No.
No.
Let's see. We brought up. So somebody brought this up. This was another pick for Pit Girl.
Yeah, the unnamed red shirt, dark hair. She looks Hawaiian, maybe.
Yeah.
I could see
no bangs.
Pit Girl.
No bangs, though, that we can tell in this picture, at least.
Well, they could be covered up by the crown.
They could be.
Yeah.
It's possible. Yeah. When we look at the team picture that they showed in the trophy case, I know it's kind of small, but I mean, the only person that seems to have the bangs in that picture is Lottie.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard to tell. Oh my goodness. And Kelly, in our group chat that we were having yesterday, you had mentioned some interesting dialogue points. We talked a little bit about a line that Shauna had before, with the words pit and trap.
Right.
Spill's another thing that we've seen like over and over. So we were kind of thinking, maybe when Shauna has this line that mentions like pit, maybe that's seen over and over, but it's not. So do you want to touch upon, Kelly, the line of dialogue and what that could mean?
Yeah. So when they are in the van, when Shauna and Natalie and Taissa are in the van, waiting for the blackmailer to show up and grab the money, Shauna mentions, I can't remember her exact line, but something about
an endless pit of guilt.
No, I'm going back further. Oh yeah. So it was, I'm sorry. It was after, it wasn't while they were waiting for the blackmailer. It was after they already chased him down, because Shauna makes the comment that she thought they were all going to prison for murder. And Natalie was like, we've done worse. And Shauna says, don't drag us into your endless pit of guilt. And so what I did, I went through all of the transcripts. You can find the transcripts for every episode online. I went through all of them, didn't take very long because there's only like 10 episodes. And I just did a quick Control F search for the words pit and trap, and very common words that most of us probably say multiple times a week. And there is not one mention of the word pit or trap other than that one line. So that almost kind of seems deliberate.
It kind of supports your theory of it being Natalie at the edge of the pit too.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right. Maybe she's standing there not in a, happy way, like, oh, we have a meal. Maybe it's like, fuck, how did we end up here? Like, this sucks, I mean, we can't see her facial expression to know, but it could be interpreted in, different ways since we have not seen it. I did hear that on Reddit, we're supposed to find out who Pit Girl is in season 2. Like, that is supposed to be actually revealed in season 2. I don't think
so.
I don't recall what article it was, but it was one of the Reddit people that said, the show has confirmed that they will be announcing, or we'll see who Pit Girl is in season 2. So that would be really nice if we can get that answer, in season 2 versus like season 4, because, they could drag this out for who knows how long. But I like that we might be getting an answer, right? Because all this is well and good, but we have no idea. We're just truly speculating.
I think it would be really cool if in the beginning of the next season, if they kind of flash back to that same sequence of events, but they show us like more than what they showed us already.
Yep.
Like they build off of what we've already seen. And it would be, I mean, it would be cool if they continued to do that throughout the series, but that would mean that we wouldn't find out who Pit Girl was for a long time. And I know everybody wants to know, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. God. And was she the first one? Was she?
Yeah, that too.
Was she the only one?
And also, like, what about the actual pit itself? Like, did it exist before they were stranded? Like, was it already dug, or did
the hunter have that built, right?
Yeah, or did the girls do it themselves? Because can you imagine how hard and long that must have taken if they did that in the dead of winter? Like, that pit had to be like 8 feet deep. Like, that was a deep pit.
Right. How do you dig that? How do you construct it? How do you the materials are all there, but like it seems like very labor intensive. In my mind, I think it was already there.
Me too.
And they stumbled upon it and said, hey, maybe this could be something. And maybe the whole thing evolves after they see the trap, and that's what like sets things into motion. They're like, hey, this is a method we could use. It's a lot more hands off than slitting somebody's throat or, bashing them with a hammer in their sleep, or I don't know, whatever else they might do.
Or maybe that's Natalie actually discovering the pit.
Oh.
I mean, it's
like
possible.
Maybe she fell by accident.
Yeah. Like none of them knew it was there.
They're like, oh shit.
That
didn't go as planned. God, I would really love to see season 2 open up with the same sequence, like you said, Emily, but just revealing more details. And by the time we get to the end of season 2, we actually have the identity. But I think that would be a really amazing way to open it once again. Like the excitement factor. I just picture myself like when the premiere comes on, like sitting down to watch, and the excitement is already there, and then they open with like a Pit Girl sequence. Can you even imagine like all of us sitting at home losing our freaking minds?
Right?
I mean, that's the scene that like drew us all in and made us want to keep watching. Like for me, definitely, like that first 2 minutes of the show, I'm like, oh my God, I have to know who this is. Like, I will watch this until the end. I don't care how many seasons.
It does draw you in. It's funny. I was at work last week and I was telling one of my coworkers about Yellowjackets, and they had no idea. And he happened to have Showtime, and he had his laptop there, and he started watching the pilot with me sitting there, and like got through that initial scene and was like, well, that's a strong start. I'm like,
right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to start a GoFundMe or something to crowdsource a viewing party live, and that all three of us can be.
Yep. On Twitter the other day, we were talking about like some kind of a group therapy Zoom or something too, because I feel like we all have a lot to unpack, like with the casting news, with the theories, with all the stuff. And, that's something that, we hope to roll out some of these fun fan things in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Any other Pit Girl commentary that we should get into? Any other, let's see, I think we touched upon all of like the crazy theories, right? Like we know it's not Callie, not Javi. I just really think there's something to it's possible it's not chronological. I think that is a very strong theory.
Yeah, definitely.
Or Mari, I think, could be Pit Girl, or an unnamed Yellowjacket. I don't know.
I hope if it is an unnamed Yellowjacket that they give her more screen time and we get to know her a little bit before that happens, because I feel like it would upset a lot of people if they made such a big deal about that scene and how important it was for it to just be a character that never spoke a single word.
Yeah.
Right. That's disappointing, maybe.
Yeah.
I think it was either Bart Nickerson or Jonathan Lisco. I'm pretty sure I saw one of them in an interview say something about we haven't been introduced to all of the Yellowjackets that we're going to
get. I saw that too. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. We need that backstory, and it's smart to do because it just gives you more time to, create these stories, and it opens up the potential too, where some of them are still alive in the present day, with the cult, we don't even know their names yet. And,
Yeah.
you know, who's to say? Like, you know, one of them maybe is Pit Girl. Who knows? Maybe one or two of them is still alive. We don't know. So there's so much opportunity to develop these characters or not. I imagine that, you know, as you just pointed out, we will be learning more about them.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. I mean,
it's going to be so wild if it turns out that they didn't eat their teammates at all and it was just the sacrifice thing, which I think is a good possibility.
I was talking to one of my friends yesterday about this, and she actually brought up something interesting that I never thought before. She said, what if Pit Girl isn't one of them? What if it's somebody else that they found in the woods? Like if there were other people out there that they didn't know were there. Like,
I thought about that.
The pilot does say a girl in her early 20s, right?
Yes, that's right. It does.
That is something that we didn't mention. You know, although we do know that they've changed some things with like the years and all that with COVID in terms of production wise, but still early 20s, you know, is a lot older than any of them in high school. Like, let's say, you know, they're seniors in high school and they're there for, you know, I guess if they're there for 2 years, it could be early 20s, but it still doesn't make as much sense. But I've seen that theory on Reddit as well, Emily, that it's, you know, that it's a completely different person. Maybe somebody that was like living in the underground bunker that's out there. Or maybe it's like the Bermuda Triangle of plane crashes and there's another plane crash and more survivors.
That would
and
be crazy.
You know, I mean, like that would be absolutely absurd, but you never know. I mean, you know, I've lost, you know, there are some comparisons, but to the point of the cannibalism, I keep going back to the description of the show itself, which is, you know, the girls separating into warring tribes of cannibalistic whatever. So I do think that the cannibalism is definitely a thing. Although I am glad to hear that they will not eat Shauna's baby. That is one thing that I've been very glad to hear. You know, Christina Ricci cleared that up on, I believe it was Jimmy Fallon. So yeah, so I do think there's the cannibalistic aspect, but it's interesting to know, like, again, like, did they just sacrifice Pit Girl? Did they also eat Pit Girl? I mean, we don't know like who actually gets eaten or how many. Like you said, maybe there was only one person that got eaten and that was enough, and then they're like, well, we gotta like figure something else out, you know. I don't know.
I feel like it would be so much worse if they were killing them and not eating them, like, because you're stranded out there, you have no food, people are going to understand if you have to go down that route, but you're killing each other essentially for sport is like what it would be. Right. And that is so much worse.
That is so much worse. So you're absolutely right. I can't picture them wasting all that good human meat.
Oh, and especially, I mean, I'm trying to think of the timeline here. Do they get rescued in the winter too? Or okay. So they've got plenty of months there where, you know, they've got refrigeration, basically, you know. They don't necessarily, I mean, if someone dies, and I hate to say it, but like not eating Jackie's kind of a waste. I mean, she's frozen.
I mean, Jackie Jerky could have like gotten them through like months, right? Like Jackie Jerky. Oh wait, are we on to a new shirt idea? Jackie Jerky? No, just that might be a little extreme. But actually, while we're on the topic of new shirts and designs, why don't we show our new Justice for Biscuit t-shirt? You know, we all know that Justice, that Biscuit, you know, met an untimely fate and ended up with his head on Thais's altar. So, you know, we thought Biscuit deserved a little bit of love. So Kelly has created this amazing Justice for Biscuit shirt. You can get all of our merch at antlerqueenspodcast.com. And we're actually all wearing some of our merch today too. So
they are.
I've got my Wiscayoc Yellowjackets. Kelly's got her Antler Queens, and Emily has her Peace Love and Yellowjackets. Oh, and as always, I'm drinking from my Citizen Detectives mug. Oh, Kelly has her MFQ, and Emily has her There's No Book Club mug. Oh my God,
we're representing like 6 different designs.
We are. You know what, let's all hold up our mugs again too. Like, this is cute. We could take a screenshot later. Oh, look at us. Oh, love it. So again, our merch at antlerqueenspodcast.com, and our latest design is Justice for Biscuit. So make sure you check that out. But back to the Jackie Jerky again. Like, maybe a little too aggressive for a shirt, but the Jackie jerky could have sustained them. So you're right. That would have been a big miss, like not eating Jackie. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens or not. Probably not. I mean, I don't know, right? Like it's so.
I can't wait to see who takes the necklace off Jackie. That's one of the things
Yeah.
I'm most excited to see, because I feel like that's going to be really important. Whoever removes it, I have speculation that it's either Shauna or Lottie as of now.
Shauna would be my guess.
Yeah.
100% Shauna takes that necklace off.
Yeah. I mean, she's probably like, she's going to want to keep it because it's, it belonged to her, and she might want to keep it as a, for sentimental
way to keep
purposes
her, like,
herself, or even give it to her parents, or,
Yeah, that too. I never thought of that.
Yeah. I'd love to know where it is now.
Yeah.
We would all like to know where it is now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. There are so many things that we'd all like to know.
Right.
And this
Jeff
pit girl. Oh my goodness.
Jeff stole it from the safe and pawned it.
God, Jeff, unbelievable. And Jeff knows what went down in the wilderness because he read the journal. So even Jeff knows more than we do. So
that's true.
And he was mighty understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sure was. He sure was.
Yeah.
Whew, goodness. Well, I feel like we've covered Pit Girl pretty well. Girls, do you have any other thoughts, commentary, theories, or otherwise on the Pit Girl topic before we wrap up?
Don't think so.
Okay. All
right. I do actually, you know what? I do want to, I lied. I thought I had covered this already, but I didn't go over it entirely. So back to the pilot script. So we already saw that they referred to the person at the edge of the pit as the hunter, who we think could be Natalie. And this doesn't give a lot of insight as to who's who, but it's just interesting to see the names that they use for him. So, they refer to Pit Girl as the runner, but so snowflakes drift through the early light as the hunter and a second figure, in parentheses, the butcher, work to hoist the body from a tree branch. So the butcher is clearly Shauna.
And is the butcher the rabbit? I mean, do we know if is the butcher the rabbit in that scene or no?
I don't remember which
one
it was.
I think I went back to check, and I think it was kind of hard to tell.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And then it says after a beat, a third mysterious figure, the overseer, joins them. A moment before, she nods her approval. From this distance, we still can't make out faces or identifying features, but we can certainly see the splash of blood hitting snow as the butcher slits the runner's throat with a hunting knife, bleeding her out like a prized buck.
Prized buck, much like the Travis scene.
Yep. Then we have more information here. The fur-clad butcher carries a steaming wood plank, a makeshift platter towards the overseer, and a ring of acolytes waiting silently in the moonlight. The overseer turns toward a strange masked and horned figure, the shaman, who the entire fan base has referred to as the Antler Queen. Some unspoken agreement passing between them, the culmination of a strange ceremony that we don't yet fully understand. Then, as she gestures to the congregation, they descend ravenous coven-like on the feast. And then this was the end. The feast, as the overseer of the feast pulls back her hood to reveal teenage Misty Quigley's face. And then it pans out from there. So we know that Misty is the overseer. We know that for a fact just from the show itself when she revealed it. But so there's the butcher, the hunter, and the shaman, which is now obviously the Antler Queen.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that Shauna is the butcher. And I can't imagine anybody else is the hunter other than Natalie.
Oh, I mean, she's got to be the hunter. Now, they do reference the time of day in the script. They say, the early light, sunrise.
Yeah.
And so, it's interesting. Did they reference the light in the running scene? Because that part that we just read was all like sunrise, early light. Did they reference the time of day when she was actually running? Because that says late day, right? So that's
Yeah.
2 different times of day. They say,
Yeah.
you know, the running is in late day, and then the other stuff that they're saying is in, you know, early light, sunrise. So, you know, does that mean that it's 2 completely separate incidents, you know, non-chronological like we talked about? Or does that just mean like the sacrifice ritual timeline spans the course of
a whole day,
of a day or a night or whatever it is? So, you know, there's 2 different ways of looking at it, but it's interesting that they reference 2 different times of day within that same sequence. Or, you know, maybe it's not a sequence chronologically again. So I don't know.
I didn't even think to check that, and I'm looking at it right now, and it actually says the very first scene is late day.
Late day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when it ends, it says sunrise or early light. So it goes from night to day. So maybe the chase starts at night, you know, and they chase all night, and then, you know, by the time day comes up, then, you know, the sun comes up, it's time to feast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, it could be part of the ritual too. Like, you know, when they probably have certain times of the day for when they do certain things. So it's, who knows?
Who does know? We don't, but we are happy to speculate and keep talking about all of our theories until we have answers.
Yes.
So this will conclude our Pit Girl episode. Next up on our roster, we are going to be doing another character deep dive, and we are going to dive deep into the mind and character of our favorite MFQ, Misty fucking Quigley.
I think we're going to need like 4 hours for that one.
I mean, seriously, there is a lot to unpack with Misty Quigley. And, you know, Christina Ricci's done all kinds of interviews recently. You know, eventually we'd, of course, love to talk to her. But, you know, she doesn't see Misty as like a comic relief, right?
Right.
Which is interesting because, you know, I think a lot of us do perceive her that way.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, we've got a lot to talk about with Misty. So if you're listening, if you're watching, you know, please comment, DM us, find us on social media at the Antler Queens. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Misty. So, you know, share away. We've all got some thoughts on Misty Quigley. That is for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Looking forward to that one.
Right. Well, hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for the Pit Girl episode. We're excited to come back with some more minis, some more character deep dives, and some awesome content all leading up to season 2. We'll have some more fun announcements about our Patreon and new merch and all of that stuff. So stay tuned on our social media. But for now, hey, Kelly. Hey, Emily.
Hey, what?
Buzz off.
Buzz off.
Buzz off.
Antler Queens out.